Hi guys, this video is from my first class of the day, which was fun with acrylics, and there's only one artwork that we're doing in this one, so enjoy. Okay, so today's supply list will be charcoal pencils, canvas panel, gel paint medium, acrylic paint. You'll need acrylic paint in white, black, gray, green, blue, yellow, red, purple, and metallic. You need paintbrushes and a palette knife. Now, first, you're going to draw the outline for the two kites with your charcoal pencil. It's just a diamond, unless you want to get fancy. And I'm not going to stop you for doing that. You do you. Draw the bars in on the kite. Not really sure what they're called. I probably would know if I had been any good at kites, but I never was, so. As you can see, if you make a mistake when you're using a charcoal pencil, you just take some water and you swipe it away with your hand or with a towel or whatever cloth you have nearby. Now that you've drawn that, we can go in and start working on prettifying our painting with, well, you know, paint. At this point, I was waiting for the students to actually show up, but due to some technical issues, they showed up and I did not get a notification on my computer telling me that they had. I only got one on my phone, which was weird because my computer was the host of the event, not my phone, but I guess that's a weird Zoom thing. So I'm sorry to the students about that. There I am drinking some water because, you know, Sjogren's. First you gotta paint the sky blue. So I used two shades of blue for this. I used sky blue and cobalt blue, which is a little dark. And I know I've kind of noticed that in the past, but I think it's mainly because it's the Artez's cobalt blue. Like other brands of cobalt blue don't look quite as, I don't know, drab. But it's still a good color. It's just, it's not my favorite. And today the Arteza paints were all, I don't know, they were acting kind of extra, and it was very annoying. They ended up getting very gloppy, and I think they may just be like drying out, which is weird because I keep them sealed. But anyway, take a big flat brush and you coat your painting, or your canvas panel, your soon-to-be painting, with the blue paint. Yes, you go over the lines you've drawn for your kites. You will see some of the outline through the blue paint so that you will know exactly where you're supposed to go, unless of course you have a ring light, in which case you are basically guessing where you're going, because that thing causes some serious shine issues. So never paint it directly at wet paint. It's not a good thing. You want to make sure that you've covered your entire panel before you go on to the next step, because we don't want any kind of see-through spots in the sky. So if there's any spot that looks really thin, go back over it and then let it dry a little bit. You'll notice I did not use the gel medium yet. That's because I wanted the background to dry relatively quickly. So I started getting my stuff together so that I could paint. I picked out my white, my gray, red, yellow, ultramarine blue, green. I think I went with emerald green, and rose, and I'm going to mix those with the gel medium. And unfortunately, that was when things started getting gloppy and went south real fast. But, you know, that's life. I didn't have the same problem using the Artist Loft paint. Ugh, still can't get it out right. It's always tedious when you have a lisp and you're trying to cover it up. Now I'm going to mix the paint with the gel medium. You use a palette knife for that. You don't want to use your brush because it will break your brushes. It will damage your brushes to mix paint with them. So always make sure to mix your paint with a palette knife. If you have a nice one with a metal knife end, that's great. If you have a plastic one, that works too. I have a plastic one. But we'll mix those together and then we'll start painting. And if you have any questions, make sure you ask them. Have any comments either. I'm always here to answer any questions, well, unless I'm asleep, obviously, or doing other things, but I will get back to you as soon as possible. I didn't have a paper towel when I was doing this class, so you'll notice I was wiping stuff off on my hands. By the end of this, my hands were a mess. They were so bad. Like, this was the second time in a row that I forgot to bring paper towels. So, by the time I did my mixed media class, an hour and a half later, I had paper towels. So, always remember paper towels, guys. Okay, now we're going to color in the kites with our paint. First, you're going to go in each little section of the kite, each triangle area, and you're going to outline it, and then you're going to paint it and color it in. We're doing thin spots first, so it's going to be okay if you have to go in multiple times to fill in your kites. And this was also one of the times when I started noticing that there was something off about the paints, because the ultramarine blue was not going on as well as it should. It was pulling the undercoat up, which was weird because it seemed dry. And I have never seen acrylic paint at that, I don't know, that much like gouache or watercolor. It shouldn't be able to be reactivated with just some water, but it was, and that made things even harder today. So this was just not a really good day to paint, but those happen. And sometimes you just gotta paint through them. Sometimes you can also just take the day off, but not if you're teaching classes, even if there's a scheduling snafu. always try to do what you're supposed to do or what you promise people you're gonna do. More life lessons from Janet while doing a tutorial. Yay! Okay, so this time I went with the rose and the green for the second kite. I don't know why. It did not look like a good mix, but I went with it. I stuck to it. And I just hoped eventually it would look okay. But the rose was doing the same kind of thing that the ultramarine had done, and I was just losing it every time I painted. Guys, it was not good. But I think that was just an Arteza thing. It was not a painting thing, so the problem does not lie with me. It's okay if your kites need a second coat of paint. I already said that. And now you want to paint the bars of the kites with black. It doesn't have to be a thick layer of black. And you're going to paint your kite string with white. Now, there I go, painting the white after I've already done the bars on the kite. You just kind of do this lightly. You can go back through and fix it later, but this is kind of just sketching the white on. Sometimes you might get it done properly the first time, but sometimes you don't. Now we're going to draw our outlines for the clouds. You get your charcoal pencil back out. Just draw some funky shaped clouds in the background. I mean, they don't have to be funky shaped, but most clouds are funky shaped. So just try to give them, I don't know, give them a kind of cloudy feel. If you want to not put clouds in, that's fine too. But that's going to make this part of the tutorial kind of useless for you. And that's fine. You do you. Not that I'm guilting you, but I totally am. Draw an outline for your trees for different heights. They don't have to be like really serious outlines or drawings. You just want to give yourself a place to go. Now you're going to paint your cloud outline in with gray. This is going to give it kind of a shadowy look because clouds are not usually just like, well, I mean, they're obviously not just white. You'll see the gray in them. At least if you live in Alabama, you do. So the underside is going to be kind of gray. So that's a good place to have gray. And it's kind of good to have kind of a base coat of gray anyway. Now we're going to paint the inside of the cloud in white with circular motions. And we're going to let the white and the gray kind of blend together. Now you just do a little C type thing and just keep doing it. And sometimes you can do a little O's too. Just, keep it round. Make it look fluffy. This will also give you a lot more texture to your painting, which is really aesthetically pleasing in my personal opinion. So yeah, if it's not something you want to do, do you. I know I keep saying things like that, but it's true. Follow your gut on this stuff. You know what you're supposed to be doing. And that totally sounded like a mom thing. You know what you're supposed to be doing. I just meant it in kind of an empowering way. And yes, the clouds, the trees, everything's kind of a distorted shape. This is supposed to be kind of a whimsical, fun painting. It does not have to be perfect because nothing in nature is perfect and nothing in life is perfect. So just keep on painting on. Don't stress about things like that. At least when you're not doing a photorealistic type painting. If you're doing photorealistic, then stress all you want, I guess. I struggle with those. So now we're going to paint our tree outlines. Try to paint them in terms of the color that they should be, or at least that's what I do. So I started with the emerald green for the background because, background trees are going to be the lightest. Whenever you're looking off into the distance, the things that are closest to you come in the clearest and the darkest, and the stuff that's furthest away is always the lightest. So there's going to be a little placard that pops up soon that says that. So I'm going to repeat myself when it does, but I thought I'd go ahead and say it. Oh, here it comes. The furthest trees will be the lightest, while the closest trees are the darkest. I used emerald green, phthalo green, and I don't remember the other one right off. But the phthalo was the darkest of the ones that I was using at this time. And the emerald green was the lightest. So the phthalo was in front was in the back. And I would sometimes mix a little bit of black into the greens, and I would paint in a diagonal way to kind of give them a texture and a shape that showed that they were going off to the bottom right hand corner of the painting. It gives them a kind of a look and a shape that reminds me of trees. So it's not a very intense tree look. It's just it's I don't know, it gives the impression of trees. And so fill in all the different levels of trees. It's okay if some are really short and some are really tall. It's okay, just do what your gut is telling you. Yep, I'm repeating myself again. Way to go, me. But the class was fun, even if I was the only one there because of all the technical stuff. And even if I did end up having to refund everything, I still had fun, which I think is pretty important, and is part of why I wanted to share this with you guys. It's not because the painting is the best in the world, because let's face it, it isn't. But it was a fun experience, and I want you guys to have the same kind of fun experience when you paint. So, I'm filling in all the different spots there, and pretty soon I think I go in and start doing some embellishing on the kites and on the kite string, but I'm not sure exactly when that happens. I know this is close to the end of it. I guess I can go ahead and remind you guys to like the video if you like it, and subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell. As my boyfriend likes to say, click it twice to make sure that you actually signed up to get the notifications, because otherwise it sometimes doesn't actually send the notifications to you, or it just sends them infrequently. But anyway, click twice and I will do my happy dance, or at least figuratively, metaphorical, I guess. The kite and the kite string need to be decorated with metallic paint, so I went in and did the little bows that you sometimes see at the bottom of kites with some copper, or was it pearl gold, rose gold from Arteza. It's really pretty. I also did some dotting on the red, blue, yellow, and green kite with my paintbrush, not with any dotting tools, even though I have some. And then I also went in and put they're supposed to look like hearts on the rose section with the metallic paint. They didn't really turn out that well. I think it was because, like I said earlier, there was a problem with some gloppiness with the paint, and with the rose just not applying properly, so that stuck around to the very end of the class. Some days, but I don't know, it's sitting next to me. They kind of look like hearts. They're just kind of haphazard. But as are the dots. But that's okay. I have fun. Now you're going to sign your painting and date it. I signed mine with the metallic paint because that just kind of pops. But you can sign yours with whatever color you want. And now we're about to take some close-up looks at it. Are you excited? You should be. There we go, y'all. See, it's not the best painting, but it's still pretty. And I'm proud of it, even if it does look kind of wonky. I love that these all kind of got turned to the side, but that's okay. You can see the trees kind of close up. And there's the kites. They look like they're kind of racing. Something I could never do with a kite. I couldn't even get them up in the air, guys. It's always the most embarrassing day of school when we would have kite day. Like, coordination is not my thing. At least not when it comes to like running and pulling a kite along. Like, don't make me do that, please. So, here I come with some words. This is a shortened version of the class. And, yeah, paint on my face. So, I'm considering just doing the classes on here from now on instead of the Zoom stuff, because this is like the second time that one of the people had problems, so I don't know what's going on with Zoom. I've done it in the past for Huntsville Art League and not had these problems, so I just don't know what's going on. So I may do the classes on here and do like a shortened version for the shortened version here and a full version on my Patreon, which is linked in the description. And I may like lower the tier for Patreon to see the full classes so that everybody who signs up maybe can see them, which might end up getting me more than I was getting for the classes, because the classes were just $12 a piece and I was paying $14 a month for Zoom, so it kind of gets really expensive really fast. But so yeah, I'd like to remind everybody to please support my GoFundMe, which is linked down in the bottom. It will help me to get a studio to work out of and to record out of and to teach out of and to sell from. So I can no longer have to keep everything in my bedroom, which is kind of like full of all my art supplies and boxes of art supplies and stuff right now, as is most of my house after I had to move stuff home from Hal. But yeah, link description, please. I've already got like almost a third of the goal, and the goal is about for maybe a third of the year's rent. So if I can get more than the goal, then I won't have to worry about rent for as long. And then if I can get enough for rent for maybe 6 months to a year, then I'll start like using the GoFundMe money for what's it called? Oh yeah, supplies, which are expensive too. So if you can help, that would be great. If you can't help, please share the link. Also, if you buy things from my store or my Redbubble or my shop or my spot, not my Shopify, not my Spotify, my Society 6 page, my TeePublic page. If you buy from any of those, that would really help too, because then the money can go there, or you can donate through Venmo or Cash App or PayPal. Those links are in the description too. And then I have my other things like a wish list that has supplies and stuff, and it also has personal items on it, so those are also linked. And I will link to all of the supplies that I use in the videos down there too. And if you buy anything from Amazon through those links, then I can also get money that way. So, lots of ways to help. So I'll see you guys later. Bye.